Hey, welcome to today's webinar. I want to show you something fun we've been working on with spline programming theory, an application that lets us install applications on as many computers as we want at home, and we call it Developer Computer Management, and it's deployable on OpenShift. And so I have an OpenShift local cluster or I have OpenShift Local running on my computer. It actually runs as a virtual machine. If you look at Virtual Machine Manager here on my Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9 box, this is code-ready containers or OpenShift Local, and this runs all the microservices to use DCM. So DCM, Developer Computer Management, is a multi-tenant way to run Ansible Playbooks on your own computer to install software. So if I log in, let me show you how I installed all of this. I'm going to make this publicly available, but this deploy developer computer management on OpenShift Local. Oh yeah, here it is right here. So all you have to do is go to computate.org and then click on deploy apps to OpenShift Local, deploy developer computer management on OpenShift Local, and here are the instructions. I need to make it show the prerequisite though, because you need to learn some cloud developer skills, and you got to install OpenShift Local on your own computer. So this is the first step. So learn cloud developer skills. Here's a bunch of skills. If you're not already an open source developer and Red Hat developer, I have some articles on that. And then there's some training from Red Hat you can take on OpenShift and containers. And then install OpenShift Local on your own computer. This has all the instructions on Windows and Linux. So I haven't tried it on Windows yet, but it should work. But well, running Ansible on Windows is a different story. Anyway, try out the instructions. Let me know if you run into problems, but then go to deploy apps to OpenShift Local and then click on deploy developer computer management on OpenShift Local, and you can follow the same steps I did on Linux to deploy this to your OpenShift Local environment. And then you'll be able to access developer computer management here. And what I did was I set up some multi-tenancy because I have my own computers here, but my wife's computers are under a different username and different password. So you might need to separate your systems a little bit in this way. So this is important for data centers as well. Like multi-tenancy means you're separating different organizations that are unrelated from each other and using the same application to serve both tenants or multiple tenants. So I created a tenant named Chris, and then I created some host credentials. So uh so you choose the tenant and then you give the credentials a name like SSH login, and then you type in the username. So like SSH login, and then my username is ctate on my computer, and then you type in your password, then you type it in again for the becoming a super user and for a regular user, and then you can leave this blank, but it defaults to sudo. And then you'll have some host credentials. Now, when you set up a tenant and some host credentials, it actually sets this up in a couple other, in Ansible Automation Platform as well. And my instructions for deploying developer computer management explain how to install Ansible automation platform and utilize your free license. Um, register your free license for that provided by Red Hat. And then in organizations here, it goes and creates an organization, Chris, to match my tenant, Chris. And then it also sets up credentials. So SSH login was the credential that I set up. And so it's all set up to with my password. So I didn't store my password in DCM. I stored it in Ansible Automation Platform when it was created. And then I set up some host inventories. I really just have one, and it's called Chris, and it's in the Chris tenant. So this is it. And you can see it has some attached hosts. So then you go and create some hosts, and this is my current computer that I'm using right now, and it has this IP address on my local network, and I give it the name Tower 1 because it's a tower computer. Um, and then I can set up some event subscriptions to install software like BZ Flag and Mari Zero. So these are the games I want on my computer, and you set up the host inventories, you set up the hosts, and then this is about running Ansible. And you might not be familiar with Ansible, but Ansible is an automation tool provided by Red Hat that's YAML structure, and there's a huge Ansible community of modules. Ansible modules. We'll search for all Ansible modules. And there's like a million things in here. How to integrate with Amazon AWS or Keycloak or OpenStack or Kafka. Oh, no. Let's see. There's free IPA. I could use that for DNS, so I didn't have to configure IP addresses. Anyway, there's like thousands of ways to do automation. We also include Sensu here. So Sensu is a monitoring agent that that data center management automatically configures on hosts. So when I set up my host, Tower 1, then what happened was there's this Sensu app running in OpenShift Local, and that also gets installed when you follow my instructions for data center management. And entities, it registers Tower 1, and it can run commands to check if something is installed or not. And that's how this works. So I register some Ansible because I have an Ansible project, computate Ansible. And if you go here to this GitHub repo, then this is where I maintain my Ansible playbooks and roles to install my favorite software programs. And these aren't going to be perfect. These are still a work in progress, but I'm updating all of these now because by the end of the year, I need to format my laptop and install the latest Red Hat provided Fedora image, and make sure that all of my software still works. So that's what this data center or developer computer management is all about, is running Ansible to install software. And so I have these job templates already configured to install Mari Zero, install BZ Flag, and install the Sensu agent, which means that now inside of my computer, if I do journal or I do systemctl status Sensu agent, I have this agent running, and it can run commands and checks on my system to make sure everything's healthy, which we're going to test here in a second. So here's how I configure the job template. I configure the tenant, the host credential, the Ansible project, and then the Ansible playbook, install mari0.yaml. And then I configure a host check for Mari0, tenant, Chris, job template, this. So it's going to run this command, check if mari0.desktop is on my computer. And if I do this right now, then it shows this file. You can see it here. Now it's going to check every 30 seconds for mari0.desktop. I'm going to switch this to 15 seconds now. And then in Sensu, this check is here. And Mari0 is scheduled every 15 seconds now. And if I go back to entities and go back to my check here. Now I'm going to log into OpenShift Local so that you can see the logs of what's going to happen. Workloads, pods. I go to my DCM project. I go to my DCM pod running here and check the logs. Okay, and then got to go to the bottom of these logs. Now I am going to go to jobs because these jobs have previously run like install Mari0. And this file exists right now. I'm going to do sudo rm and delete this file. Okay, so this file no longer exists, cannot access that. Now what happens here is it just got a notification to check install Mari0 and status failing on host tower 1. Where did that come from? That came from Sensu. Sensu was checking every 15 seconds to see if Mari0 was installed and it's failing. So it sent a message on the Kafka event-driven message bus to DCM, and DCM said, oh, I know what to do. I see this check install Mari0 and status failing on host tower 1. I'm going to run an Ansible automation playbook install Mari0 job to fix that. So you come to jobs here and you see install Mari0 running. And if you look at the details, where is the, let's see, tower? Well, okay, so there's a thing called limit. Oh, limit. So it limited it to this IP address where it was failing, and now it's running that playbook to fix it. And it runs all the dependencies. So Mari0, I install power tools first, which is a different Ansible role, and then libmod plug, physfs, luajit, love, and if I look here, Mari0 is missing. So it's recompiling all of these applications. Auto reconf /configure make, and it's going to bring back Mari0 because this check is still failing. And DCM is configured to check And so it has these messages, AAP job template, install Mary Zero, already running on a job on host tower 1. So it's not running the same job, but it's getting a message every 15 seconds that Mari Zero is still uninstalled. So every 15 seconds, it's making an update because that's how we configured it. And hopefully soon it will be done. Okay, it says Mari Zero is installed. Nothing failed. So now if I search my applications, here's Mari Zero. Yay! So now I can play my game. Yay! There you go. Pretty cool. So what we're doing here is kind of uh, I mean I want this to be a fun community where we can share Ansible, we can share software, we can keep open source alive and do it in a really fun way and be able to maintain our developer computers with some sanity because this works not just on my own computer, but I can also test virtual machines. So I can go and install a Fedora CSB customer or company standard build Fedora image and test all of my Ansible playbooks there using the same DCM that I deployed here so that when I format my computer and install a new operating system, I don't have any surprises because I've already tested all the automation and I can get my computer up and running very easily because updates are important. Whether you like it or not, every 5 years you're gonna have to like upgrade your operating system. Uh, so hopefully this data center I keep so developer computer management can help you achieve your goals of software automation. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So